Rain was falling in soft, cold sheets. The evening officer, Daniel Brooks, saw a tiny figure sprinting across the station parking lot she couldn't have been. Older than 8, her shoes were soaked, her hair was dripping, and her little hands trembled as she tugged at his uniform with tears streaking down her cheeks. She choked out the words that would change everything. Please follow me home. It's my mom, officer." Brooks froze for just a moment. The look in her eyes was so desperate, so frightened, that he didn't dare waste a second. He grabbed his jacket, called for backup, and ran with her into the storm, without knowing that what he would find inside that small home would leave even the toughest officers fighting back tears. Before we dive deeper into this emotional, real-life story, make sure you subscribe, like, and comment to help us grow our community here on True Story Tales. Your support helps us bring more inspiring stories just like this. One officer, Daniel Brooks, had worked the evening shift for nearly 10 years. He'd seen almost everything: accidents, arguments, emergencies. But something about the little girl's voice struck him hard. It wasn't just fear, it was a heartbreaking mixture of hope and helplessness. Her name was Emily Carter, and she held his hand tightly as they rushed down the sidewalk. She kept looking back as if making sure he was still with her. Every few steps, she wiped her sleeve across her face, pushing back tears that kept coming. No matter how hard she tried to stop them. "Emily, are you hurt?" he asked gently. She shook her head. "No, but Mommy, she won't wake up." Officer Brooks felt his stomach drop. He radioed again for medical support and picked up his pace. Emily tried to match his steps, her legs tiny but determined, like she knew this was her one chance to save the person she loved most. They reached a small, worn-down apartment building. The front porch light flickered, and the railing leaned to one side. Emily pushed open the door and let him inside. The apartment was clean, surprisingly clean even, though the furniture was old and mismatched toys were neatly stacked in a corner. Small photo of Emily and her mother sat on the coffee table, their smiles wide and full of love. Then Emily pointed toward a closed bedroom door. Officer Brooks took a breath, stepped inside, and found a woman lying on the bed, completely still. "Mommy," Emily whispered. Stepping forward, Officer Brooks placed a hand on her shoulder. "Stay with me." "Okay." He tried to wake the woman, calling her name, checking her pulse. She was breathing, but barely. The room smelled faintly of medicine, like someone had been sick for a long time but tried to hide it. Within minutes, paramedics arrived and carefully lifted Emily's mother onto a stretcher. Emily walked beside her, holding her mother's limp hand and whispering, "It's okay, Mommy. I brought help." "I brought help." As the ambulance doors closed, Emily turned to Officer Brooks with wide, terrified eyes. "Please don't make me stay alone," she said softly. That single sentence pierced him deeper than anything he had experienced. In uniform, he knelt so he could meet her eye level. "You're not going to be alone, I promise." And for the first time that night, Emily let out a quiet, relieved breath. Officer Brooks escorted her to the station. While waiting for updates from the hospital, he gave her a warm blanket and a cup of hot chocolate. She sat silently at first, staring into the cup, as if waiting for answers to rise in the steam. After a few minutes, she spoke. "Mommy didn't want me to worry. She kept saying she was fine, but she got sicker every day." Emily looked up at him. "I tried to help her. I made food, I cleaned, but today she fell down in the kitchen. I tried to wake her. I tried so hard." Her voice cracked without thinking. Officer Brooks placed a reassuring hand over hers. "You did everything right. You saved her life." Emily blinked, surprised. "I did." He nodded. "If you hadn't come for help, she might not have made it through the night." A small, trembling smile appeared on her face as the hours passed. Emily slowly opened up more. She talked about how her mother worked 2 jobs but still found time to read bedtime stories, how they would draw together on old scrap paper, turning the pages into magical worlds, how her mom always told her, "No matter what, kindness leads the way." Officer Brooks listened carefully, absorbing every word. Then the call finally came. Emily's mother was stable, but relief quickly shifted into another problem. One, Officer Brooks knew Emily would struggle to understand. Her mother would need weeks in the hospital. There was no family nearby, no relatives to take care of little Emily. For a moment, the station felt unbearably heavy. Emily looked up at him as if she could sense something was wrong. "Can I see Mommy?" "Now," she asked. "You can," he said carefully. "But Emily, you might need to stay with someone else for a little while, just until your mom gets better." Her face fell instantly. "No, I don't want to go somewhere else. I don't want to leave Mommy." He swallowed, feeling the ache in her voice. "It won't be forever." Emily's eyes filled again, and she leaned into him for comfort. He wrapped an arm around her instinctively. That's when Officer Brooks made a decision that would surprise everyone, including himself. Instead of waiting for social services, he first visited Emily's mom at the hospital. She was awake now. Weak but aware, he introduced himself and explained how Emily had saved her life. Tears filled the mother's eyes. "I never wanted her to see me like that," she whispered. "She's just a child." "A brave one," he replied, "and you've raised her well." Then he asked the question that had been forming in his heart from the moment Emily clung to him in fear. "Would it be all right with you if I looked after her until you're stable enough to come home?" The mother's reaction was immediate. She began to cry, softly at first, then harder, overwhelmed by the idea that someone would step in that way for her child. "For them, you do that?" she asked quietly. "If you're comfortable with it," he said. She nodded, slowly, tears slipping into her hair. "Thank you. Thank you for being kind to her." When he returned to the station, he found Emily curled up in a chair, asleep under the warm blanket. Her small hands still held onto the stuffed bear a paramedic had given her. Officer Brooks gently nudged her awake. "Emily," he said softly, "how would you like to stay with me for a little while, just until your mom gets better?" Her eyes opened, confused at first, then hopeful. "Really, I can stay with you." He smiled. "If that's what you want." She threw her arms around him with surprising strength. "Yes, yes, please." And that was the beginning of something one expected. The next few weeks were filled with moments Officer Brooks would never forget. He learned that Emily loved pancakes shaped like animals, that she slept with the lights on, that she hummed when she colored and laughed at the smallest jokes. Neighbors, who had barely spoken to Officer Brooks before, now came forward with gifts, clothes, toys, meals, as word spread about the little girl who had run for help in the rain. People who had never met Emily or her mother were showing kindness simply because they heard the story, and slowly, a small community formed around one child in need. "Every night," Emily asked the same question, "Is Mommy getting better?" And every night Officer Brooks answered truthfully, "She is, and she's so proud of you." Finally, the day came. When Emily's mom was discharged, Officer Brooks drove Emily to the hospital, her excitement bubbling over in the back seat. She clutched a drawing she had made, a picture of herself, her mom, and Officer Brooks standing together under a bright yellow sun. When they entered the hospital room, Emily ran straight into her mother's arms with a joyful cry. The reunion was pure, raw, and full of a love that no sickness could take away. Her mother thanked Officer Brooks repeatedly, her voice breaking each time, but he simply shook his head. "Your daughter taught me something too," he said gently. "She reminded me that kindness doesn't have limits. It grows wherever we choose to plant it." Emily lifted her drawing proudly. "See, Mommy, we're a team." Her mother smiled with tears shining in her eyes. A perfect team in the end. The story of Emily, her mother, and Officer Brooks spread far beyond their neighborhood. People learned how one child's courage and one officer's kindness came together to save a life and to create a bond none of them ever expected. This story isn't just about a desperate moment or a scary night. It's proof that kindness can appear in the rain, in a cry for help, or in a stranger's unexpected embrace. It reminds us that even in the hardest moments, someone's compassion can change everything. And maybe, just maybe, it encourages all of us to be that someone, because kindness, shared from one heart to another, can truly save lives.